Okay, so I'll begin with this question since really it's apropos. Passover is coming up in a week and 2 days, Saturday night next, not this coming week, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So the question is as follows: Dear Rabbi, since Passover is coming up, can you please share with us the main idea of Passover beyond the Jews leaving Egypt? Maybe something that can be relevant to us. Okay, so the main idea of Passover. So something that's relevant. I hope it's relevant. We'll see. But I would go to the very name that is given to this festival, Pesach, Passover, to pass over. Now, of course, it relates to the angel of death that needed to pass over the homes of the Egyptians in order to execute the plague of the firstborn in the homes, to pass over the homes of the Jews in order to execute the plague of the firstborn and to kill the firstborns of the Egyptians, to go into the homes of the Egyptians and not into the homes of the Jews. But the idea of passing over is really the idea of Passover. And it's also connected to the word Mitzrayim, which is the word for Egypt. Because in Hebrew, the word Mitzrayim really comes from the word Meitzarim, which means limits. And what the idea of Passover is to pass over our own limits, just as the Jews passed over and came out of their own limits, their own imprisonments, their own limitations 3,333 years ago, and finally left Egypt and marched towards the promised land, first towards Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. So too, we have to overcome our own limits, our own boundaries, our own Mitzrayim, our own Meitzarim, and in order to achieve freedom, in order to achieve our own promised land. Now, that's why I would encourage everyone really, before Passover, to name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that may be limiting them emotionally, psychologically, whether it's sour relationships, whether it's bad habits, addictions, whether it's all sorts of other things that may limit us and our potential. And think before Passover again, how you can come out of your own Egypt this year, how you can overcome those limitations, those Egypts, those Meitzarims. And if we can do that, then we'll be reenacting, so to speak, the grand exodus from Egypt, not just from that Egypt, but again from our own Egypt. So I would say that really is the main idea of Passover. So that's the answer to that question. And we can speak about this more, but I want to get to the other questions too. All right, next question. This question speaks of a unique custom, unique mitzvah, in fact, that pertains to this month of Nisan, this Hebrew month of Nisan. So last July, we planted an orange tree. Question 1, the other day I noticed what I knew would be blossoms from that orange tree, I suppose. I shunned the tree until today, Sunday, the 1st of Nisan, so this past Sunday. So I could say the Birkat Ilanot, the blessing over the trees, in Nisan. Was I right to wait? Let me relate to this question first, and then there's a second question. So indeed, during this month of Nisan, from the 1st of Nisan until the very last day of Nisan, we have this unique mitzvah called Birkat Ilanot, mentioned here, which is the blessing over the trees. You were right to wait because, again, it's a mitzvah that pertains to this month. Why is it a mitzvah that pertains to this month? Because this month is recognized as the beginning of the spring, of the season in which the trees are starting to bud, which God's earth is starting to sprout, in which vegetation in general is starting to blossom. Now, in order to express our gratitude to God, we say the Birkat Ilanot, we say the blessing over trees, over fruit trees particularly, fruit trees in which we can see those buds that are just emerging, that we know will develop into fruits, in order to, again, say thank you to Hashem for all the great goodness He has given us through His earth. Then we say this blessing of Birkat Ilanot. I will say this, that specifically the Birkat Ilanot, this blessing should be said in front of 2 trees, hopefully with two separate fruits if possible. And both trees, again, as mentioned, should have buds. Can't just be dried fruits, because again, you have to express your gratitude on something very tangible. So that's the blessing that he said during this month. It's only said during the month of Nisan. And I encourage everyone, really, you can find it in most prayer books, to say this beautiful blessing and express your own gratitude to God for these blessings. We are lucky to live in Arizona, where many of us have backyards. And I'm sure maybe even in your own backyards, you may have fruit trees like this. And you can perform this mitzvah even tomorrow, day after, or whenever in Nisan, in order to, again, express your gratitude. That's question one. Question two. Yes, Joyce.
Rabbi, just to ask,
Sure.
next week I have a grapefruit tree, and also I also have a tree that is being strangled by someone else's thing over the fence, and
Right.
it's a beautiful fig tree.
Okay.
And someone is coming to help me
Does
in
it
the
have
middle
buds?
of next week. Yes.
Good. There you go. So
Little
you have your,
tiny buds, and I just don't. I feel like it's choking, and I want to free it. Is
so
this crazy?
maybe when you say the
It's-
blessing, some miracle will happen to the tree. Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe you
it
can
is.
add your own
It's
blessing.
not dead.
Yeah.
It's not dead, but it's symbolic.
Yeah.
Of freeing.
Yeah. You know, the fig tree, according to one opinion in the Talmud, was the tree from which they ate. Adam and Eve was the tree of knowledge. So we'll be freeing this tree of knowledge, maybe. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. Question number 2 is part of this same email. I do not know how old the tree is. Speaking of the orange tree that this person had planted. So I do not know how old the tree is, or if it has borne fruits before, or bore fruits before. Do we need to observe Orla? If so, can I take the fruit to a food bank, or must it be thrown out? That's a good question. Orla really refers to one of the biblical commandments, to not benefit, not really have any benefit from fruits of trees that are less than 3 years old. Up until the tree turns 3 years old, one cannot have its fruits, including year number 3. Year number 4 is when maybe we could start benefiting, depending on the opinion that you follow, but most opinions say yes. So the first 3 years, one cannot have fruits from a tree, from a fruit tree. Now, this has many ideas attached to this mitzvah. First of all, the orla itself means uncircumcised. That's because we believe that the tree is still uncircumcised, or so to speak, is still maturing during those first 3 years, more than any other years of its lifespan. And therefore, in order to respect the tree and its growth, we leave the tree alone for the first 3 years. That's the simple idea. The other idea is also because the first 3 years is when maybe we want to have those fruits the most. And after all, we planted this tree. We want to enjoy the fruits of the tree most. And when we finally see these fruits, we're like, oh, we're so eager to have them already. And God here, through this commandment of Allah, is teaching us one of the great qualities of life, and that's the quality of self-control. You control yourself before you can have those fruits. Remember, those fruits weren't created just by you alone. They were created by God too. And the best thing you can do for God is to exercise self-control in life, not to be imprisoned by your lusts and by your physical desires, but rather to know that even those things that are permissible sometimes are not to be indulged with. So we exercise self-control for the first 3 years. That's yet another reason that's given for this mitzvah of Allah. Third reason is because, again, we have to be grateful to God. We have to recognize that there's a partner in the creation of this tree. And by not eating from the tree, we're saying, you know what, God, you're the partner. You get the benefits of the first 3 years. We don't. It's almost like the Shemitah year. Once every 7 years, the land of Israel rests. And that's to recognize that there's an owner to this land. It belongs to God. So we rest. This whatever grows now, that's yours. And that's what we do the first 3 years for Orla. Orla is outside of Israel too, according to 99% of the opinions. I mean, there's one Talmudic opinion that says think it's Eliezer ben Hurkanus, says that Orla doesn't apply to us outside of Israel, but most opinions say that it does, this mitzvah. But again, first 3 years, this is say, you know what, God, yes, we recognize you're a partner in this creation. You have the first fruits. You have, you reap the benefits the first 3 years, and then it will be our turn. So that's really the mitzvah of Orla. So you were right not to, what do we do not to enjoy those fruits? What do we do with these fruits? So we either let them just fall on the floor, or we can collect them and give them maybe to non-Jews. This mitzvah doesn't apply to non-Jews, so we can also be kind towards them with those fruits. All right, that's the mitzvah of Orla. So we spoke about these two mitzvot, Birkat Ilanot, blessing over the trees, and the Orla not benefiting from the tree, from the fruits of any fruit tree for the first 3 years. Okay, next question. So again, this is an email with multiple questions. First question is, what does it mean to be spiritual? So that's a great question, because I don't believe that there's anything that is entirely spiritual. Everything that is spiritual must have a materialistic side to it, a physical side to it. And everything that is physical, in order for it again to be balanced and also at the same time holy, it needs to have a spiritual side to it. So, for example, when I am eating, speaking about eating fruits, if I say a blessing over the fruit, then I'm elevating it. Then I'm adding the spiritual side to the fruit. Then I'm creating this healthy balance. Now, if I'm entirely spiritual, if I meditate all day long, and there's no drawing down that light and bring the holiness to do something good for someone else, then again, that's spirituality that is futile. It's maybe even dangerous. And therefore, in Judaism, again, we believe that there's no such thing as being entirely spiritual. If you are entirely spiritual in the Jewish way, that means there's a materialistic or physical side to that spirituality. Because being spiritual and disconnected and aloof really serves no good, not to you and not to this world. So what does it mean to be spiritual? Going back to that question, I think Jewishly, what it means to be spiritual is that, yes, we allow soul to find expression. We allow spiritual self to develop and to really mature and to exercise itself. But we don't get lost. We don't fly too high that we forget that there's a world that we have a mission in, that we don't allow that spiritual side to take us completely away from this world, that we forget that at the end of the day, as the Mishnah says, it's the deed that counts. That's really what being spiritual means in Judaism. By the way, Rabbi Steinsaltz despised the word spiritual. I remember that, because it doesn't mean much. Rabbi Steinsaltz, as holy as he was and as spiritual as he was a very pragmatic man who was all for actions. And that's really what we focus on. I think spirituality has taken a life of its own here in our own vocabulary in this country. People have almost disconnected themselves, divorced themselves from their life mission because they want to be spiritual, they want to fly away. And this is really deeply connected to one of the great Kabbalistic notions that is called Ratzov Vashov, which means that a person should really act like a flame. If you look at a flame aspires to go up, but it's pulled down by the wick. It has a ratzor, it has a desire to run and to soar to the heavens, but it also knows that shov, it must come down to this world. So we're constantly acting like electricity, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Only ratzor, only spirituality in that sense is again against Judaism. Maybe other religions believe in that. Maybe Buddhism believes in that, and Hinduism believes in that. I don't know, who knows what. But certainly not Judaism. Judaism, you have to have the ratzor. You have to know that you're not of this world and you're higher than this world, but you also have to be in this world and actualize your spiritual self in this world. I will quote Ben Azai. Ben Azai was a man who may have been the most spiritual man in the Talmud, in Mishnaic times, some 2,000 years ago, or a little bit less. He was a contemporary of Rabbi Akiva. Ben Azai was so spiritual that he once taught, this is a Talmudic statement, that if one does not engage in the commandment of being fruitful and multiplying, right, pru urvu, then he is diminishing the image of God in this world. Now they asked Ben Azai, that's nice of you to say, but you're not married. You're not fulfilling what you yourself are saying. You're not being fruitful and multiply. And he responded, what can I do? My soul desires to study Torah. I can go down to getting married. I'm going to get married, really. I'm going to start paying bills. I'm going to be involved in this physical world. That's not for me. Now, it's interesting to note that this same Ben Azai is the one that went to study the secrets of the Torah with Rabbi Akiva and two others, and he died. Why? His soul was not accustomed to staying in his body to begin with. Then when he was exposed to divinity, then his soul just left and died. And that again is because this was a man who maybe had a lot of ratzah but did not have any shov. It's a pity, because if he had stayed alive, I'm sure he would have taught so many more students and so many more teachings. But in Judaism, we believe that there must be a ratzah, but there must be a shov. Say this, that it's interesting that the Jewish calendar is built in such a way that on the holiest day of the year is Yom Kippur. What do? A few days after Yom Kippur, we build the sukkah. It's almost as if God is telling us, you thought you were an angel for a whole day. You were fasting, you were dressed in white, well, not come down to this world. That's where you belong. Go build the sukkah and start dealing with materialistic stuff. That's really what spiritual means according to Judaism. So that's to answer that question. Question number 2, is the Torah portion we read always the same when we read Vayakel Pekudei, 2 parashiot? So let me just speak about how the Torah portions are divided. So they divide it so that we can begin the Torah on Simchat Torah and finish the Torah on Simchat Torah. Sometimes we have what's called leap years. Sometimes we don't have leap years. Leap years are years in which we add another month. We add another month so that we can somehow have a parallel calendar to the solar calendar, so that the festivals of the year can be celebrated during the season as the Torah commands. For example, the festival of Passover has to be celebrated during the spring, Chag HaAviv, it's called the festival of spring. And therefore, we have to somehow adjust our lunar calendar to the solar calendar from time to time and add 1 month to it. When that month is not added, usually the portions are combined. Some portions are combined, like Vayakel Pekudei. Why? So that we can finish the whole Torah by Simchat Torah. When there is a leap year and there's an extra month, then those portions that are usually combined are actually separated, because then we have more time. We have an extra month to get to the next Simchat Torah. So we divide the portions in a way that they fill that month, and then we can finish the Torah again by Simchat Torah. So that's how it's usually divided. Okay, last question from this email. Very moved by Abraham's Bar Mitzvah. Can you tell us more about him? So I'll share with you the story. It was a beautiful, really something amazing that happened this past Shabbat at CBT. The NBA, I wanted to steal that from the NBA, but the NBA slogan last year, I don't know about this year, I stopped watching them ever since they became too political for me, but the NBA, as their slogan was, where amazing happens, right? And I would say that that's CBT, where amazing happens. But what amazing thing happened this past Shabbat, we had a guest, actually studying here at ASU. He was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. A few weeks ago, he did a 23andMe test. In that 23andMe test, he discovered that he was an Ashkenazic Jew. He couldn't believe it. And he confronted his parents. His father, who's a sheikh in Saudi Arabia, of course, scolded him. But he persisted with his mother, and his mother said, yes, we have lineage that is Ashkenazic. I'm Jewish myself, and I was born in Egypt to a Jewish family. So here's a man who's not Jewish, discovered that he's Jewish. His mother is Jewish. And his mother warned him, you better not tell anybody because our lives will be in danger. So he hasn't told anybody, and we haven't publicized his name or anything like that. But he came to shul this Shabbat. We announced it at the podium, and he received his first aliyah. And we changed his name from Ahmad, an Arabic name, to Abraham. Abraham also came with his own conviction to the belief in one God and to eventually being the founder of our nation. So it was a very beautiful thing where amazing happens. And it reminded me, I think, of the great lessons that sometimes all we have to do is turn inwards, not outwards, and find that Jewishness within us, that soul within us. And if we have the courage to embrace it, then life can take us to the most special places.